I've been encouraged. I think the last time we talked, we were just a couple days in, and the guys were really head spinning a little bit, trying to get all the verbiage down and learn their assignments and responsibilities. But I tell you, the attitude, the want to is really, really strong, and that's encouraging because, that's a huge part of wanting to be great is just, like I tell our guys, if you want to be a guy that's highly motivated, you have to want to be. And so that's where these guys are at. So I think that we're still installing slowly, maybe a little slower than I had hoped, but you just have to judge that based on how they're executing. And so today we pretty much didn't do anything new. We just were able to continue to improve the things we have installed, and I thought our execution was probably the best we've had this entire spring. So very encouraged.
Are guys like Niall Sykes and Greg Gooch adjusting to playing on the?
I tell you, they've bought in. And that was one of those things I think I said in the beginning. The Husky position, the bull position for us was kind of taking guys and moving them to a spot they've never played before. And you got to sell them on it. We sell them on it by showing them film of guys in this system that have made a lot of plays, and convince them that it can be a great opportunity for them even for the next level and be able to show off their skill set. So, Niall's done. I tell you, he showed up today, sacking the quarterback, and Greg the same thing. And I think those are guys that, anytime you're going to play a 4-down, you got to be able to pressure the quarterback, and we do a lot of different things with that position and drop them and doing different stuff. So I think that they're progressing very well, and they're making plays. And we have a production chart that we put up after every practice, and it's I tell our guys, your name better show up on there, and those guys' names are showing up.
Coach Wilson said that you and Coach Hagen have kind of gelled quickly, and his veteran experience on the line has allowed you to worry more about the back end. Just kind of how much has he brought to you? I know it's obviously just 3 weeks in the spring, but how much?
It is, but I've known him for many, many years. And, interestingly, when I was a high school coach, I'd go up to Purdue and meet with him, and talk ball, and so that's how we first met and spent time together, and it just grew from there. And then he came here, and we coached against each other, when I was at Ole Miss and he was at A&M, and so just a lot of familiarity, and I think we have our philosophies are very similar, and that was obviously what drew us together, even him coming here, and so I think it has allowed me to focus on the back end, because our back end, it's a lot of new concepts. And so it's allowed me to focus on the backers and the safeties, which is really the two positions that probably have the most on their plate in what we do. And so I spend most of my time in those rooms, and the ability to have him up front has freed me up for that. So it's been a great combination.
It seems like there have been a lot of folks moving around up front too, just new faces and guys moving around. Where is that group just up front right now?
I think it's because of what we graduated. We knew there was going to have to be a lot of new guys stepping up. And so I've been encouraged by them. I know you really can't tell a lot sometimes. We'll know more Saturday when you actually, you scrimmage. Everything now is segmented for the most part. So we'll be able to see in that kind of setting if guys show up and make plays. But the improvement from practice 1 till today has been strong. And but you're only as good as your front. It's a big man's league, and the places I've coached, that's going to be the case. Offensively, defensively, and your big guys lead the way. That's what we say, and that's how it's going to have to be. So I think that they're going to be very, very challenged because we got a very good offensive line. That makes them better. Iron sharpens iron. I believe in that concept, and we see it every day because our offense is so talented.
Where is, I guess, the pass rush loses guys like Shaw, Latham, Mangieri, just kind of, where is that in your mind, and who can still step up there?
Well, we've mentioned a couple guys, Sykes and Gooch, and, even a guy like Ralph. He's a big old guy, but those inside guys is where you can get some good matchups, and we don't view some of those guys as pass rush guys, but, the bottom line is I think even, a guy like Jacob, he's a big body that can play in different spots, and he can be a good matchup on a 3 technique rushing the passer, and we'll situationally put those guys in those positions. We have run-stop guys, we got pass rush guys, and the bottom line is that's our job as coaches to get them and get the right personnel on the field in those situations, and we'll do it with some pressure as well. I don't view us as a team that's just going to rely on one thing. We got to be multiple. We got to have, we're going to sell a certain look and then let them deal with it post-snap. And the movement up front helps. It helps the D-line play more effective because it's not just, hey, we know he's going to be in a certain spot and we can tee off on him. And so I think it helps the guy that just buys in and plays with fanatical effort and great technique, allows him to be effective. And I think that's what you're seeing right now.
How's a guy like Jameer Bowen making that transition?
Oh, he is. He's a big old body guy that can move. You see him put his foot in the ground and change direction. He just has such a small rep base as a D lineman. He just has to learn it really from the ground up. And so, but he shows flashes and I've said it to Coach Hagen, I said, man, he looks like some guys that we had and played against other places I've been, you know, and he has that body type. And so thrilled to have him on defense, and I think that as the days pass, you'll see him getting better and better. And for me, I think that his upside is potential is sky high.
In terms of the secondary position with Jamie Thompson, Ben Bach at the Husky position, how are they developing, and how is Wesley Green, a guy we haven't seen much of, doing?
You know, first of all, you know, Jamie's been out a little bit, and he's back now. And so good to have him back out there today. So he hasn't had as many reps as we'd hoped at this point in the spring ball, but he'll get there. I thought today he did some great things, you know, for the limited reps he's gotten so far. And Ben's really, it was a totally foreign position for him. You know, so Ben has been a productive guy. You know, I think it's challenged him in some ways to learn the position. And we're going to probably, when we get halfway through here, we'll kind of mix some guys around a little bit. You know, you got to have depth. You got to have different guys who can do multiple things. And certain positions are kind of complements to one another. And so, but I was pleased with both of those guys. And Jonathan Crawford's been, he's been solid. He's just done a great job, really. He's been probably our top playmaker back there. And you know, Will's done a great job as well. And he showed up today. Once again, this productions we talk about, he's getting your name on the list of breakups and picks and doing things, you know, creating those fumbles. So I feel like the secondary is a key group, you know, and you're not going to say one that's not, but they're the ones that, you know, when they make a mistake, that everybody in the stands, you know, knows that they did, you know. So their margin for error is very, very small. So you know, Coach Shelby and Coach Truss have done a great job back there getting those guys right.
With that Husky position, what are some of the specific points of emphasis that you guys are kind of hammering right now? What are some of the hurdles that those guys are trying to navigate?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the coverages are a little different than they're used to, first of all. And you know, anytime you get a guy that's near the box, he's playing run-pass. You know, so those guys, just like linebackers, are putting that run-pass conflict. And so that's probably the biggest challenge, is being able to discipline your eyes. You know, it's your alignment. We talk about hands and feet all the time, and then but it starts with your eyes. You know, so I think those are the things that position struggles with is you know, playing one or the other too heavy. You got to be able to do both, you know, and that's where your keys come in, and discipline and extra work in the film room and doing the little things as we talk about all the time to be great. Preparation.
How nice is it to have a guy like Marcus Oliver, who's
Yeah.
veteran guys, played a lot, had a lot of production right there in the middle of your defense?
You know, it's great because he's not only a really, really good player, he's an awesome young man that's kind of a rock-solid guy that just you can count on. You know, he's going to do what he's supposed to do. He's going to be where he's supposed to be. My challenge to Marcus is to be more verbal, you know, and to lead. I know he's still learning the defense, but I want that Mike linebacker to run the defense. I want him to run the show, and I've told him I'm going to be hard on him. He knows that, and I've challenged him that way. But we have high expectations for him and for this whole defense. But those linebackers, they got to run the defense, especially the Mike. And so having a guy like that has a good rep base and has the confidence of knowing he can make plays is a great foundational piece, and he's doing a great job.
To build on that, I mean, have there been any guys that you've been quickly able to rely on as kind of a leader for you with the defense?
Yeah, you know, I think that, you know, obviously you mentioned Marcus and Jonathan. You know, I think that, you know, Nathan Hoff's a guy that we're challenging in that regard because he rose up early and wanted to take on that role. You know, Ralph's the guy in that core, man. He wants to. The want-to is strong. We got to sometimes get those guys geared in the right direction on certain things, but they want to take ownership. What I like to do is you say, hey, when you walk away, hey, break us down. I want to see who jumps in there. You know, T. Gray Scales is a guy that I'm putting a lot on to want to step up and lead. And I think those are the kind of guys that have jumped into that. And sometimes we've had to push them a little bit into that because you got to decide as coaches who do you want to be the voice. And like I said, some guys have it intrinsically, and some guys you have to teach them how to do that. And so you got a couple examples of that in both of those guys.
Obviously, a lot of names to replace on that defensive line, but getting ready for a new system anyway. Where do you see some of those young guys kind of stepping up on the D-line?
You know, they're all working hard. I think we've had 8 really good practices, and they haven't been perfect. But, you know, like I say, you got to look at it from the perspective that, you know, there's new coaches, there's a new scheme, new terminology. They got a crazy ball-headed guy yelling at them on the field. So they're kind of trying to figure things out on the run. But the work's been good. You know, it helps having some older guys like Ralph Green and Nate Hoff that, you know, have been around for a while. So, you know, they can kind of grab the younger guys, you know, by the heels and push them along a little bit. But, you know, there's some talent, and we just got to get better as a group. You know, I don't think we have any just pure standout, play every snap type of guys, but we have enough good players where, you know, we just got to all be working in the same direction. You know, I think a guy like McCray can be a really good player for us. Unfortunately, he's been a little nicked up. It's nothing serious, but he's kind of been out of commission a little bit, and that's allowed us to work, some other guys. But again, they're all working hard. Jacob Robinson, Nate Hoff, Ralph Green. I think some of those guys are kind of jumping out in front. Then you got a couple guys that have been hybrid guys like Niles Sykes and Greg Gooch that, they've been up front a little bit, but they've probably been more, linebacker type guys. So they're learning to have their hand in the ground a little bit more often. So I say it's been really good so far. We're making progress. The nice thing is when we watch video, we're doing some good things, and we can be so much better. We're not even scratching the surface yet. So been pleased so far. We just got to finish it up here strong the next couple of weeks.
What's sort of the background with Coach Allen? It sounds like there's, you haven't worked together, but there's a connectivity between the two of you that allows you guys to kind of hit the ground running.
Sure. Well, I've known Tom for a long time, ever since he started as an assistant at Ben Davis and then took over as a head guy. And then our paths crossed when he was at Ole Miss and I was at A&M. We both, recruited the Metroplex down in Dallas. Always really admired Tom, again, just his background, his passion. He and I didn't really know this. I obviously grew up at Carmel, and he was a year younger in Newcastle growing up, and I can remember playing up at Newcastle as a sophomore, and Tom obviously was a freshman, but it was a playoff game, and so our paths crossed a long time ago. We really never even knew it, but just, Tom's passion, his energy, just the standard that he represents from a defensive standpoint. Those are always things that I really admired about him, and being with him the past few weeks, it's been everything I expected. It's been a lot of fun, and I think we've been able to come in and get acclimated with the other defensive coaches that are here. And I say it hasn't been perfect, but spring ball so far, it's kind of been ups and downs on both sides. It hasn't been one-sided, which is really what you would want from a team perspective. Offense has the better of us at times, and then we've come back and won our share of battles too. So there's been a good back and forth. But again, it's a pleasure to be able to work with Tom and these other defensive coaches. Like I say, we're trying to implement a standard, a way of going about our business, and I think our guys are starting to pick that up.
Talk about a young guy, Brandon Wilson, redshirted last year, defensive end. How's he kind of adjusted? I think last year he was more at the bandit position, staying up. But how's it going back, being able to put his hand in the ground?
Brandon can be a good player for us, and he just, he has no idea right now. I think he thinks he's practicing hard, and he's making progress, but he's one of those guys that, again, is not even scratching the surface. And I think as a young guy, sometimes we expect as coaches that these guys maybe to understand the game like we do, and that's not fair. We spend all day up in the room just talking football, watching video. These guys are obviously students. Football is just a piece of their life. And so he can be a good player for us. He's got to get bigger and stronger and more confident, and he's doing those things. I know he's a guy that maybe could have played some last year and didn't, and so it's nice to know that he's got, a few good years in front of him. But he's making progress. Like I say, he's not even scratching the surface right now, and like I say, we're both working in the same direction, and he's getting better.
What are some of the biggest things a guy like Jameris Bowen can get out of these next few weeks?
He's a guy that certainly looks the part, and I ask him almost every day, are you sure you played defense before? Because he doesn't have a ton of snaps under his belt as a defensive player. I never saw any high school video on him, but he's a guy that maybe's made some of the biggest jumps just in the past week and a half to 2 weeks. Just going back to basics of how you play defensive line, and the thing that we're trying to get our guys to do up front is to play vertically. I think these guys were used to being in more of a read and react. And I've been in those systems a few times in my career, and to be honest with you, they're not very fun to play from a defensive line standpoint, because really what you do is you play sideways and you end up just occupying blockers and allowing guys behind you to make plays. And I think in an attack system, an attack four-down system, you're not just blindly running up the field, but you're attacking that guy that you line up on. He's going to be the guy that you react to. So, again, first few practices, he was like a backyard football guy. Ball was snapped, and he's looking for the ball, and he's getting blocked. And then we finally got his eyes corrected a little bit, and he's been a much better player the last few practices. So we're still taking baby steps with him, but I think he's a guy that, again, has got a skill set where he can help us. And we just, I oftentimes as a coach got to step back a little bit and you just go back to the basics with him, because he's really a novice in terms of playing D-line.
terms of heading into some of these scrimmages in the spring game, what do you want to see out of the defensive line in terms of getting pressure on the quarterback?
Consistency. You know, I think if there's one thing that I look at, I'm not sure we have a ton of guys that can just create their own pass rush up front. We're going to have to get creative. We're going to have to work together in terms of twists and rush games up front. We've got a couple guys that can, you know, create their own pass rush, but they've got to know when those situations are going to arise. They're going to have to know pre-snap when our offense is throwing the ball. They've got to have a plan in place, you know, in order to set that offensive lineman up and beat them. But the thing I'm looking forward to is just being able to go out and get the coaches off the field and just be able to play a game. You know, not have us out there correcting them every snap. You know, see where the leadership's gonna you know, hopefully show up and do a good job communicating and making sure those guys are giving their very all play after play after play. And then when bad things do happen, because they always do, that's the ebb and flow of football. How do you react? You know, so some of the base things I think not just myself but the rest of the defensive coaches are looking for. There's no doubt going against our offense, which has been one of the best in the country, they're going to challenge you. You know, and just when you think, hey, we're doing some good things on defense, boom, they can strike in a heartbeat. Now, how are you going to react? Are you going to drop your head? You're going to pout? You're going to do those things, which, you know, I think if you go back and look at the X number of years, you know, there's been spurts of, you know, good play on the defensive side of the ball, but there's been no consistency. And so that's what we're trying to develop is some consistency, a standard of how we go about our business, and that's what we're hoping to look and see that we're making progress with those things when we get in some of these scrimmage situations.
Oh, I feel like things are going great. Really, again, preaching the energy, giving it all we got every single down. Really focusing on technique the second half of spring ball and just working on that.
What have you noticed just working with Coach Hagen? What are some of the, I guess, maybe some of the
He's very intense. He wants the best out of you, and I think that helps us out a lot.
Did you know him at all before?
I did not, no.
Is there maybe more of an attacking mindset this spring?
Yeah, this our new mindset's just getting that first step in the ground and going vertical. And he really preaches that.
How does that, I mean, how do you implement that? How do you start and actually get that in there?
We really focus on keying the ball and keying our man, and then from there it's vertical get off and pressure. We're using your hands as well.
How different is that from what you were doing?
Last year's scheme was a little different. I mean, we had to go left and right, where now it's really emphasizing going north and south. Mainly just going straight up vertical.
Is that more fun just as a
Oh
bonus?
yeah. It's us. It's one-on-one. It's attacking your man, using your hands, stuffing him in the backfield.
Now, what was that experience like as a true freshman, being able to get all those reps you were able to?
Oh, it was awesome. And being behind Nick Mangieri and Sean Heffern really helped me out a lot. They taught me a lot, and they feel like they prepared me for this year and my next 3 years.
Who have those guys been, maybe this year in the D-line room so far that people are kind of following?
Nate Hoff definitely setting a great example, is working really hard and leading vocally as well. And then Ralph Green, both guys have the most experience on the line.